Gossip from 2000 is a movie that I guess you could call a drama. It stars Lena Headey, James Marsden, and Norman Reedus as three college students who concoct an idea to spread a piece of gossip and see how far it gets. And this is a little bit flimsy. And as the movie goes on, you find out that some of the characters have ulterior motives for this little experiment. I love seeing Lena Headey in a starring role. Also, Kate Hudson is in this movie, so you have a great cast. But what really appeals to me about this movie is the nostalgia in a Y2K sense. James Marsden's character lives in a 10,000 square foot warehouse that is converted into some kind of living space. And it's not really explained how he affords this lifestyle except for a throwaway line about him having a trust fund. But these are upper echelon people from the turn of the century. And I had a lot of fun with this movie. I don't think I would go out of my way to recommend it. I think for the time, it may have thought it had something profound to say, but looking back on it through the lens of how the subject matter would be handled over the past, let's say, 10 years, the whole thing feels a little bit quaint, but that's totally fine. It was still a fun movie to watch. Haunt from 2019 is a horror movie that took me by surprise because it was way gnarlier than I thought it was going to be. This is an actual horror movie with some really good gore and scary bad guys. It revolves around a group of friends around Halloween who are going to try and find a haunted house to hang out at, and they find one that's a little bit off the beaten path. And of course, things start to go south from there. I don't think this movie does anything outside the box or anything that you haven't seen before. It's a group of young people in a dangerous situation getting picked off one by one, but it's very well presented and entertaining. The characters are actually likable for the most part. Even the one who's meant to not be so likable is pretty likable, which is a great feat for a horror movie. I did think that towards the ending part, our main character made some extremely stupid decisions that had me and my wife yelling at the screen as we watched this movie. But it definitely had me on the edge of my seat. I could feel that tightness in my chest when something bad was about to go down. So I would say this is maybe not the best horror movie I've ever seen, but it was definitely an effective horror movie and great for the spooky season. Petite Maman from 2021 is a French drama about a young girl whose grandmother just died, and she and her parents must travel to the grandmother's house to go through the belongings and clean the house out. When the girl is in the woods, she discovers that there's another house that is very similar to Grandma's house, and there's people in it who are very similar to people in her life. This movie is wonderful. I loved every minute of this rather short film. It's about an hour and 17 minutes, if I remember correctly. It's a very chill, calm, nice movie with many beautiful and heavy pieces of dialogue that by the end were really hitting me in the feels. I honestly don't want to say too much more about this film. I give it a universal recommendation. I think most people will enjoy this and get something out of it. It's such a lovely movie. I watched this on Canopy and it was an instant purchase of the Criterion Blu-ray. So if you're a collector, you can also get this physically. But this is definitely one of my favorite first-time watches that I've seen in quite a while. The Cell from 2000, on the other hand, is a rewatch of a movie that I used to really be obsessed with. When this movie came out, it was kind of a big deal, and I was really into it. I used to watch it all the time. When I was younger, I used to rewatch movies a lot more often, and I would watch them over and over again. I know some people are like that, but that's not really what I do. So there are many movies from when I was younger that when I rewatch them now, sometimes they don't hit the same way, or may even leave me wondering what was I thinking enjoying this movie back in the day. But The Cell holds up. It is a sci-fi horror thriller starring Jennifer Lopez, Vincent D'Onofrio, and Vince Vaughn in a rarer, serious role. A lot of people, when they think of Vince Vaughn, they think of comedy. But in this one, he plays a police detective trying to hunt down the serial killer who is played by Vincent D'Onofrio. Jennifer Lopez plays a psychologist who is working on an experimental system where one person can enter the mind of another person, and she's trying to use it at the beginning of the movie to get a boy who is in a coma out of the coma. And that's kind of the hook of this movie, is the sequences where people are in each other's minds, because they are amazing, beautiful spectacles of visual beauty or visual ugliness and scariness that are really unlike anything else. Even though I've talked in the past about films like What Dreams May Come and this era of pushing the boundaries of special effects, I think The Cell really stands on its own as a film that succeeds in every element that it tries to combine into a sum of its parts. So, for example, the serial killer parts are really disturbing, and Vincent D'Onofrio just kills it, no pun intended, as this really creepy and disturbing killer. I remember back in the day, a lot of people would criticize J-Lo's performance in not just this movie, but every time she acted. She was kind of the butt of jokes at the time, but she's fine in this. Yes, there are some line deliveries from her that are a little bit dull, and there's definitely a fan servicey kind of sequence where she's walking around her house in her underwear that is a little bit gratuitous. But over time, I can't imagine the film with anybody different in the cast. It may be nostalgia, but I think this film holds up in every way. It's awesome. It totally kicks ass. I had it on DVD, but I actually recently acquired the Arrow Blu-ray, which looks really beautiful, and most of, I would say 99% of the special effects really hold up under the restoration, so that's really awesome. If you've never seen The Cell and you want to see a unique sci-fi horror thriller, you definitely need to check it out. And I think that'll do it for another week. I really appreciate you making it to the end of the video. If you like these short movie reviews that I do, I have a whole playlist of them on my channel. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.